Hello and welcome back to the course on Introduction to Solid-State Physics. In the last class we have discussed about the Bragg's law and what are its limitations. The major limitation is that we do not get any information about the scattering amplitude. That means how the atoms are arranged and which atoms are present inside the crystal. We do not get any information using the Bragg's condition or the Bragg's law. So for that we have to go for the Liouville formulation of the Bragg's law, which is defined in the reciprocal space. This scattering amplitude means it is the intensity, it is related with the intensity of the scattered X-rays, and the X-rays are scattered from the electron clouds. So let us try to obtain the Liouville condition in this present video. We know that the crystal is invariant under any translation of the form T is equal to N1A plus N2B plus N3C, where A, B and C are the basis vectors and N1, N2 and N3 are the integers. This is due to the periodicity of the crystal. So not only this crystal, any physical property which is associated with the crystal, for example the electron density, will also follow the same periodicity. That means under a translation of this form, the physical property is going to remain invariant. For example, if you take the electron density, schematically we can show it like this. These are the lattice points, one-dimensional lattice points, and the same periodicity is going to be obeyed by the electron density. This is how the electron density will look like. It is denoted using rho r, and it will also follow the same lattice translation. That means rho r will be equal to rho r plus t, as it remains invariant under this kind of translation together with the crystal. Now we know that any function, not only the electron density, any function can be expressed as the corresponding Fourier transform. So how to write the Fourier transform of a function? This is the way to write the Fourier transform of a function. Here rho r is the real space quantity and fg is the corresponding Fourier space quantity, together with a certain exponential factor. This is defined in the Fourier space, or we call it as the reciprocal space, and this is defined in the real space. So the relation between rho r and fg is that the same quantity, one is expressed in the real space and the other one is expressed in the Fourier space or the reciprocal space. Now let us have a look at the factor exponential I g dot r. Since this factor has to be dimensionless, and we know that r is the real space position vector, its dimension is of that of length, so definitely the dimension of g will be inverse of length. So that is how the g vector has been defined in the Fourier space or in the reciprocal space. Now let us come to our actual crystal diffraction. We know that here rho r that we are discussing is the electron density, and since it is associated with a particular crystal, it also has the same periodicity as that of the crystal. That means under a certain translation, it T equal to N1A plus N2B plus N3C, it remains invariant. So rho r is a periodic function, and a periodic function, the Fourier transform of a periodic function, can be represented using the corresponding summation. The integration is replaced by the summation if the function is periodic. For periodic functions, rho r can be written as summation over all the g's fg times exponential I g dot r, where fg is called as the Fourier coefficient, and later on we will be discussing more about this quantity fg, which will be useful in understanding the scattering amplitude in a better manner. So the electron density can be written as the Fourier transform of this in the Fourier space or in the reciprocal space, and we know the dimension of G is 1 by length. And as I told, since it is a periodic function, and if it undergoes this translation, that is T, that is we have already defined T is equal to n1a plus n2b plus n3c. So rho r plus T according to this particular relation can be written as summation over G fg exponential I G dot r plus T. Here rho r was simply exponential I G dot r. Now r is replaced with r plus T, and we can further write it as exponential I G dot r times exponential I G dot T, and this quantity is equal to the rho r since it is a periodic function. So we can write it rho r plus T is equal to rho r, and in the place of rho r plus T we can write this, and in the place of rho r we can write this expression. So what will be the outcome of this? So that means summation over G fg exponential I G dot r is equal to summation over G fg exponential I G dot r times exponential I G dot T. Now in this relation, whether the summation over G exponential I G dot D can be equal to 1, or simply we can take this term to be equal to 1. So to have any kind of physical significance, let us assume that this quantity is equal to 1. So there is a separate parameter, and it is the exponential I G dot D. Suppose this quantity is equal to 1, then this relation can be satisfied. So we have assumed exponential I G dot D equal to 1, so that we can define the vector G in a proper manner. Now this 1 can be written as an exponential function. We know that exponential I theta is written as cos theta plus I sin theta, and we know that cos of 2 pi m is equal to 1 if m is an integer, and sine of 2 pi m is equal to 0. So for any integer, cos of 2 pi m is equal to 1 and sine of 2 pi m is equal to 0, and exponential of I theta can be written as cos of theta plus I sin theta. So in the place of 1 we have written cos of 2 pi m, which is equal to 1, plus I sin 2 pi m, which term is 0, so that the right hand side can be written as exponential of 2 pi m I. This 2 pi m can be taken as theta, and from this expression this is equal to exponential 2 pi m I, where m is an integer. Now this integer m can be written as the sum of the product of the set of integers, and the integers are n1, n2, n3 and hkl. So any integer can be written as the sum of products of two sets of integers. One is n1, n2, n3, and the other set of integers are h, k and l. Later on we will come to know that this h, k, l are indeed the Miller indices of the plane, lattice plane. So n1 we are multiplying with h, n2 with k and n3 with l, and which is in fact an integer. So this m can be represented using this n1h plus n2k plus n3l. So now how to write this vector g? So vector g can be represented using this particular expression, that is ha plus kb plus lc, and the dot product of this translational vector, that is t, is already n1a plus n2b plus n3c. So in the place of g we have written this, and this is possible if and only if the dot product of the small a with respect to capital A is 2 pi. That means A dot A is equal to 2 pi. Or we can define the vector A as 2 pi times B cross C by A dot B cross C. Similarly, the other vectors capital B can be defined as 2 pi times C cross A by A dot B cross C, and capital C vector can be defined as 2 pi times A cross B by A dot B cross C, such that A dot A is equal to 2 pi, small b dot capital B is equal to 2 pi, and small c dot capital C is equal to same 2 pi. So here A small a dot capital B is equal to 0. Similarly, if these two are not the same A or same B or the same C, then it is going to be 0. And in the denominator, this is nothing but the volume of the unit cell. So here this capital A, capital B and capital C are called as the reciprocal space lattice translation vector. And if we expand, any point in the reciprocal space can be expressed in terms of this translational vector which are defined in the reciprocal space, that is in terms of HA plus KB plus LC, which corresponds to a particular point in the reciprocal space. Similarly, the small a, small b, small c are the lattice translational vectors in the real space, whereas the capital A, capital B and the capital C are the lattice translational vectors in the reciprocal space, and these are the relation between them. And in the next class we will try to obtain the scattering amplitude. Today's class we have an idea what is a reciprocal space and how we can obtain it using the Fourier transform of the real space quantity, and how the vector G, which is the reciprocal space vector, can be expressed in terms of the reciprocal space lattice translational vectors, that is vector A, vector B and vector C. In the next class we will be obtaining the Laurent's condition, and we will obtain an expression for the scattering amplitude for diffraction.